Another video by Sophia Narwitz. Come on, the slippery slope into degeneracy? Let's just mask off at this point.
Hey everyone, just a quick heads up that this video is based off an article of mine that originally appeared on RT.com. Every click
Oh, she's a writer for Russia Today. Awesome.
helps, so if you enjoyed this video, please check the description for a link to the original piece and maybe toss a view its way. I've also written quite a few articles over there now, and not all of them make it to video, so maybe browse some of my other content while you're there too. Likewise, if you enjoy my content and want to support it, please check the description for ways to donate as well. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Now on with the show. We now find ourselves amidst an epidemic of perversion as disturbing content is shared far and wide by today's major media, one of the most distressing subjects of which is the sexualization of children. From gaming.
So I won't disagree that there is a big issue with child beauty pageants and talent shows and things like that sexualizing children. This is an issue. It doesn't necessarily mean I agree that our society is slipping into degeneracy, as loaded as that term is.
Websites to news organizations, children are now props in a war on decency. Just last December, Desmond, an 11-year-old boy who had been described by Good Morning America as trailblazing, twirled around on stage in female attire as men whooped and hollered and threw money his way. That isn't a one-off instance, as throughout the past few years, other similar incidents have begun to stack up. A 10-year-old drag queen named Lactatia released a photo earlier this year that showed him smiling as he stood next to a naked 27-year-old man. Another photo from the same shoot.
I mean, what is the point of this? I agree sexualizing children is bad. This is not necessarily sexualizing them. I just don't know what the point of this image was, why it was taken, why it was posted. There's obviously a reason. Let's see. Okay. Former winner of RuPaul's Drag Race has been criticized online for posing naked with a 10-year-old child. Nemesis Queen Melanchon Golden is a 10-year-old boy who has been performing as a drag queen under the name Queen Lactatia for over 2 years. The young Canadian drag queen shot to fame when he appeared on This Morning 2 years ago. Okay. I mean, if that's what he wants to do, good for him. A photograph emerged online of the 10-year-old posing with Violet Chachki, who won RuPaul's popular reality show in season 7. In the photo, which has been widely shared online, Chachki is wearing nothing but high heels. The photograph was taken for an article in Huck magazine, but was left out of the final published edition. Okay. Yeah, of course, James Woods complained about it, investigating the photograph as child pornography? No. There were a 10-year-old... No. There's no... This is not child pornography. This may be unnecessarily sexualized, but it's not child pornography. Okay. Violet Chachki is not a fucking pedophile. Fake woke stan Twitter can fuck off. She took a picture with a child, that's all. But why was she nude? There are beaches around the world where people are literally naked. Children are around that. Children shower with their parents all the time as well. Okay. So was this person just going around DragCon dressed or undressed like this? I mean, I thought this was a staged photo. If this is a candid taken at a meeting at a convention, then, I don't know, this may be my American squeamishness with nudity. Anyway, I don't see anything inherently wrong with this image, especially if, as it seemed to indicate, it was taken at a convention where apparently this person's attire is acceptable, and also children are acceptable. And this is a valid point. There are nude beaches where children can go all the time. Nemi's mother, Jessica Melancon, said she supports her son's wearing sexually suggestive clothing if it makes him feel beautiful. They're adult, so he's aware of what he's doing at least. Wearing that dress because it might cause people to think things they shouldn't be thinking. Yeah, this almost feels like a lot of people with latent pedophilia being like, this is making me feel things. Drag kid, I am posting another one because although on reflection I realized that the particular photo I posted with the older drag queen was distasteful for many, I 100% stand by the article. It was a balanced piece about the subject, which ironically probed the issue of sexualizing children. I'd urge anyone to actually read the article before passing judgment. At a drag show his mother brought him to, the clip of the two on stage, where the drag queen repeatedly used the words bitch and drops an F-bomb, quickly went viral. Okay. I mean, this Nemes Quinn Malinsun Golden seems to really be into this, so I'm not gonna harsh his mellow. That's what he wants to do. I don't really see anything wrong with this image. I think this is just American squeamishness about nudity.
Shows the young boy spreading his legs wide on a couch wearing a black dress and fishnet stockings. Last month, Kotaku, a gaming website known for its diatribes opposing the sexualization of adult female characters in gaming, posted child pornography on their website. Photos depicted an underage digital model of Emma Watson sitting on a massive dick.
Kotaku posted an article about how video game porn could be sexier, and within they include graphic photos of Hermione from Harry Potter and Misty from Pokemon getting fucked by massive cocks, and now Reset Era is losing their shit because they're underage. I mean, yeah, lolicon is still child porn. Digital or drawn representations of children in sexual positions is wrong. But Kotaku is shit anyway, so I'm not surprised that Kotaku would do something like this.
The same piece also featured cartoon drawings of a 10-year-old Pokemon character getting raped by creatures from the series. At a Pride event hosted at a public library in Washington state for teens and tweens, a drag queen suggestively danced after removing his skirt in front of the audience. The same event also gave out flavored condoms and lube. Maybe not the best things for tweens.
Teens and tweens. Sorry, in your little conservative bubble, maybe teens and tweens aren't sexually active, but in reality, they are. And if we've learned anything from history, it's that it's better to teach kids how to do something safely than to simply forbid it.
Speaking of Pride, during this year's annual event, photos emerged of little girls.
Yeah, no kink at Pride. Pride has definitely become more family friendly. And while I know that a lot of LGBT people express their sexuality through kink, and I 100% support it, this kind of thing maybe shouldn't be at Pride. At least during the day when the kids and the families are out. If you want to come out at night and do this stuff when the kids are at home, that's fine.
Girls playing with men engaging in pup play. For those unaware, pup play is a kink where people pretend they're dogs and live out their lives as such. At the risk of sounding hyperbolic, Western values and societal norms are being tarnished.
Western values and societal norms.
From within. Behaviors once rightfully looked down and spat upon are becoming increasingly common. A feat accomplished due to a media accomplice that praises such actions as progressive. But what they highlight as liberation from gender stereotypes and norms has turned into nothing more than a grotesque parody of what we were always warned would occur. In the 90s, a common argument in opposition.
So I strongly feel that if this kid wasn't specifically wearing long hair and makeup and other indicators of femininity, that they wouldn't have as big of an issue with this. Like, the issue is he is emulating somewhat the mannerisms and movements and attitudes of a stripper, of an exotic dancer, of someone dancing suggestively. But if he were just wearing no shirt and no wig and no makeup and just the pants, I don't feel like they would have as much of an issue. But since he's also in drag, they have an issue.
Opposition to gay marriage was that it was a slippery slope. The logic went that if men could marry men and women marry women, it'd lead to polyamory, bestiality, pedophilia, and every other ill the human mind can devise. As an
Love when they lump polyamory in with bestiality.
LGBT individual myself, I heavily disagreed. I still do. Although, these days it's become an increasingly unstable platform to support, mainly due to the self-sabotage the media seems to insist on. Public figures argue that kids should be introduced to kinks as a means of normalizing them, because, in quotes, they'll have their own fetishes one day too. Lactation.
Yes, a lot of people have their sexual awakenings and find things that they enjoy, and if those things are outside the norm, such as relatively vanilla kinks like spanking and BDSM, the kind of things that most people think of when you think of fetish or kink, and they think they're bad because those things are bad. And they're not.
Isha is touted as inspirational and incredible, even as he tells others to eat a dick. Desmond faked snorting ketamine while live streaming with an adult drag performer as they read incoming comments such as "Hitler did nothing wrong."
What has this world come to? It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch.
This fact doesn't bother.
I'll bet this person has no issue with Soph whatsoever. But this is a step too far because it's someone in drag. I mean, I'm not fully supportive of this action either, especially if they're unfiltered and chat is saying things like, Hitler did nothing wrong. But, yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to dress this way. People think all drag queens are strippers and sex workers and things like that, when, no, drag is just another art form. And a lot of trans people get started in drag. Not that all drag queens are trans, but even Contra has said that she started doing drag at like Rocky Horror shows, and it was all just a joke until she realized, wait a second, maybe it isn't.
Other media sites like the Huffington Post, which raise him as proof that the future is queer. This should tell you all you need to know about what type of future the liberal media is hoping to build. But is this the future people...
Yes, we want to build a world where people of what are currently considered non-standard lifestyles are acceptable. That includes gay and lesbian, gender non-conforming, cross-dressing like this, drag, whatever term you want to use. If this is what makes you happy, this is what you should do, as long as no one is harmed and you continue to enjoy it.
Want? Sure, we keep being told these kids are inspirational, but their social media popularity suggests otherwise. On Twitter and YouTube, Desmond only has 4,574 and 5,650 subscribers respectively. On Facebook, it jumps up to over 30,000, yet many of his posts bring in a reaction from less than 1% of them. Over on Instagram, Lactatia only has...
So the YouTube subscribers could be people who subscribe either so they know when they post to dunk on them, or because when they went viral, a lot of people subscribe but then ignore it going forward. I know I've done that. Someone links a YouTube or something's like, get this person over such and such subscribers, and I've subscribed and never go back. But kid drag is still a pretty niche thing, so they are inspirational among the progressive community, but they probably don't have a lot of reach outside that community. So she may be inspirational for other LGBT people, but the young people she would really be inspiring probably don't have Twitter accounts. At least they shouldn't.
Has 28,600 followers. As far as that site goes, this is a lot smaller fan base than one may think, especially as it pertains to an individual who the media considers an influencer. Even while keyword searching his name on Twitter, there's not a lot of people explicitly discussing him. Outside of the social media sphere, it still does.
So what do you think it means to be an influencer or an inspiration? Does that mean people have to be talking about you 24/7? No. And again, she's in a niche of a niche. They are a child drag queen, which means that is a niche of drag queens. I wouldn't expect them to be talked about all the time, but that doesn't mean they're not inspirational.
Doesn't appear that this content is anywhere near as popular as we're being led to believe. When an upcoming documentary about drag kids...
Remember what I said earlier about how things are unpopular and then they happen? This person is at the forefront of this kind of living your truth. Kids should not be held to certain standards of dress based on the accident of their birth. So It's unpopular, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Remember that. A lot of conservatives will try to conflate popular and good and unpopular and bad. That's not necessarily the case. Civil rights were unpopular until they worked. And it took a lot of work, a lot of protesting, a lot of agitation to get to that.
Kids released a trailer on YouTube, comments were disabled. This was a sure sign they knew the reaction would be
Yes, I'm sure they disabled comments on the video about the 10-year-old drag queen because they didn't want a bunch of comments from people like you talking about how this was degenerate and this is child abuse and shit like that. Funny how it's always, when progressives disable comments, it's censorship, but you go to many right-wing videos and they'll disable comments too.
overwhelmingly negative. Likewise, when Good Morning America uploaded their segment about Desmond online, it was greeted with over 47,000 downvotes, a massive difference from the meager 2,600 ups. Browse the comments and ratings on
Yes, because a lot of chud groups like what you're trying to create will brigade this shit and make it look even less popular than it is. This is why promoting situations like Desmond's is important, because it shows that this is a good thing and that there are positive examples of it to counteract this conservative narrative.
any number of such videos, and a picture emerges that the majority do not accept this, regardless of what their political affiliation happens to be. At this point, there's no denying that the media is not at all tuned into what people want. Years of clickbait and lies has already taken a toll on many publications' reputations, but now a line has been crossed that isn't excusable by any metric. They celebrate children dancing in drag to roomfuls of adults for money. They depict 10-year-olds having sex with cartoon characters. They boost images of children.
Notice how she's conflating Kotaku and their admittedly objectionable material with a kid dancing. Now, I agree, there's some oddness about dancing for money like that. Like, that's maybe a little weird. But this also goes to the stigmatization of strippers and other sex work. Of course it's bad. They're emulating a stripper. Well, why is that bad? Well, being a stripper is bad. Why? Well, because it's bad.
Why?
Usually something about people shouldn't be allowed to sell their body in that way. Sorry, if I can sell my labor, a person should be able to sell their body if that is their choice. That's not to say that strip clubs and other sex work institutions aren't misogynist, capitalistic hellholes, but the problems usually stem from the fact that they're misogynist and capitalist, not that they're places where people do sex work.
Children standing naked with adult men. They have turned impressionable children into disgusting displays of human sexual excess. Even lactacious fans are called lactators. A sexually suggestive word if I've ever heard one, and a word that does not belong with any 10-year-old's fan base. Nothing presented in this video is bettering our culture. Where is the progress in this? How does this benefit?
The progress is it means that children who want to behave outside the norm are accepted and celebrated as long as no one is harmed. That's the progress. That's the societal help. Sorry if you don't like that, but that's what it is.
Benefit gay rights, self-expression, or the lives of our nation's youth. If anything, it's damaging everything it touches as we further devolve into degenerates. Even something that should be as harmless as
Degenerates.
Alright, buddy.
story time has been tainted. In March, a registered sex offender dressed in drag read to kids in a public library.
Yes, and was immediately fired as soon as they learned that. It's not like they were alone with the kids. They were in a room reading to a bunch of kids in costume. It's so funny, the hypocrisy. Because if that was someone dressed up as SpongeBob SquarePants or Boba Fett or someone else reading to them, they'd have no issue. But because it's someone dressed in drag, it's automatically sexualized and so bad. There's nothing inherently sexual about drag. It's just men dressing up as women or women dressing up as men. That's all drag is.
What is happening all around cannot go on. It is time for people to speak up and become vocal. A continuation of this behavior will only quicken the pace at which the decency of Western civilization crumbles. As a societal family, it is on us to take care of the children, and one must...
You know, I've read about this before where kids started dressing the way they wanted to and all of society collapsed. It's how the Romans collapsed. It's how the English Empire collapsed. Just how it goes.
Must only look around to see that the kids are not all right.
So yeah, kids should be able to do whatever they want as long as it doesn't harm them or anyone else. Sorry if people think that's sick, but again, as long as they're not being forced into this by the parents, which, by the way the kids are acting, that's not the case, I think it's fine. It's not sick or degenerate. It's letting kids express themselves how they want to. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you. See you next time.